Welcome back to The Survival Historian. Today, we're investigating something that seems impossible: wood that refuses to rot, structures standing defiant after millennia. You're about to discover how an unassuming liquid, pressed from a simple plant, granted timber supernatural resilience. This isn't fantasy, this is chemistry weaponized by ancient hands. Let's uncover the truth about linseed oil, the liquid gold that literally built civilizations to last forever. The myth of immortality. Walk through any museum housing ancient artifacts and you'll encounter something that honestly just defies logic. Egyptian wooden coffins surviving over 3,000 years. Viking longships whose hulls remain intact after centuries. Renaissance doors still standing in European cathedrals, wood as solid as the day they were installed. These aren't miraculous preservation sites. Many have endured climate fluctuation, human handling, and environmental stress that would, reduce ordinary timber to dust. For generations, historians assumed these artifacts survived through luck or mysterious alchemical practices, but the answer was never lost. It was forgotten. Hidden in the workshops of master craftsmen and preserved in the molecules of wood that refuses to decay, lies a forgotten art of timber preservation so effective it borders on the miraculous. The secret isn't complex or obscure. It's linseed oil, a simple liquid pressed from flax seeds as common in ancient workshops as it is rare in modern ones. This substance became the ultimate weapon against time itself. Understanding how it worked reveals something profound about ancient knowledge, chemistry, and the ingenuity of cultures that created structures meant to outlast empires. So, the story begins not in an alchemist's chamber, but actually in fields of cultivated flax. The flax plant, with its pale blue flowers, has been grown for well over 12,000 years. Ancient civilizations really prized it for its fibers, which were spun into linen. But the seeds, well, they held a hidden treasure that craftsmen quickly learned to exploit. Workers crushed flax seeds beneath stone wheels, releasing an amber-colored liquid with a distinctive earthy odor. Unlike olive or palm oil, linseed oil behaved differently. It hardened. By ancient Egypt, craftsmen deliberately applied this oil to wooden coffins and burial chambers, watching as it formed protective shields against the forces that would normally reduce wood to powder within decades. The reason lies in linseed's molecular composition. It's extraordinarily rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids, particularly alpha-linolenic acid. These acids contain multiple carbon-to-carbon double bonds, reactive molecular junctures, where chemical interactions eagerly occur. This made linseed oil fundamentally different from other oils. It was chemically configured to transform into something harder, stronger, and more protective. Beyond wood, linseed oil permeated ancient civilization. Egyptian physicians incorporated it into medical preparations. Artists mixed it into paints, giving them durability, which is why ancient Egyptian paintings retain vibrancy despite millennia of exposure. Craftspeople discovered that treating fabrics with linseed oil made them water-resistant and durable. Linseed oil became a substance that ancient cultures intuitively understood could extend the lifespan of nearly anything it touched. When linseed oil is applied in thin layers to wood and exposed to oxygen, it undergoes oxidative polymerization. This isn't evaporation, it's transformation at the molecular level. So imagine fatty acid molecules as these flexible chains with, multiple weak points, those carbon-to-carbon double bonds. These are basically invitations for oxygen molecules to interact. When air reaches the oil, oxygen doesn't evaporate the liquid. Instead, it attaches to these double bonds, breaking them and creating new linkages. Each molecule bonds with its neighbors, and those neighbors bond with others, creating this really intricate three-dimensional network. This isn't just a surface coating. It's actually a deep structural transformation where oil saturates into the wood's fiber matrix while at the same time hardening into a protective polymer film. The process generates significant heat, enough that honestly oil-soaked rags have historically caused fires. This exothermic reaction proves polymerization is happening. Curing continues long after the surface feels dry. A properly applied finish actually continues hardening for years, becoming increasingly resilient as time passes. This is why linseed finishes improve with age, unlike synthetic alternatives that, tend to degrade under UV light. The resulting polymer network creates an impenetrable barrier. Water molecules, which cause wood rot, cannot easily penetrate the hardened film. Insects and fungi find the surface hostile. The wood, sealed from within and protected without, becomes chemically inert to decay. This is how Egyptian coffins resisted decay despite tens of centuries in environments where untreated wood would crumble in years. Throughout history, people have left behind remarkable traces of their craftsmanship, and some of the most fascinating examples come from the way they preserved wood for thousands of years. Egyptian wooden coffins in the Valley of the Kings display intact linseed finishes after 3,000 years. The polymer bonds remain visible under examination, still protecting the underlying wood even after all this time. Viking shipbuilders demonstrated intuitive mastery, treating pine and oak hulls with carefully applied linseed oil layers. The Oseberg ship, buried in a Viking grave mound, displays wood so well preserved that grain structure remains visible and joints still hold firm. Renaissance craftsmen elevated linseed application to art. Medieval cathedral doors, treated with linseed-based finishes, have weathered centuries of temperature fluctuation and exposure. Original finishes can still be detected, performing protection even after half a millennium. Modern synthetics, they provide short-term protection but degrade within, say, 10 to 20 years. Linseed oil finishes, on the other hand, actually improve over time, becoming harder and more resistant as polymerization deepens. Ancient craftspeople weren't simply using what was available. They were leveraging chemistry that's actually superior to most modern alternatives. Proper linseed finishing requires patience, not complexity. The principle remains constant. Multiple thin coats, thoroughly cured, penetrate deeper than fewer thick coats. Heated linseed oil, called boiled linseed oil, accelerates curing from weeks to days. Medieval craftsmen added metallic oxides as catalysts. Modern versions are industrially produced. So you'll want to apply thin coats every few days, making sure to let each layer fully cure before adding the next. When it's properly applied, linseed oil really brings out the wood's natural grain, while also providing this sort of invisible protection. It offers water resistance that's been, proven by thousands of years of evidence. Linseed oil's ancient secret teaches us that immortality isn't really about magic. It's chemistry married to patience, tradition refined through generations, and a commitment to quality that just refuses to compromise. In a world obsessed with rapid production, there's profound power in choosing methods that take time but create permanence. This is about understanding how to work with the natural world to create legacies that refuse to crumble. Thank you for joining this exploration. If you found this compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to The Survival Historian for more insights into how our ancestors survived, thrived, and created legacies spanning centuries. I'll see you in the next episode.